interesting. I can say that it has some good points, it has some bad points. Translation, animations, just state of the game in general. However, it does have potential, and I can tell you that from experience. I am a practicing lawyer. I'm a civil attorney, not criminal, but a lot of the elements that go into this game are heavily used in civil trials as well. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Got a pretty interesting load screen.
Hello, my name is Mark Ferry. I'm an attorney at law. Are you here to take a closer look at my everyday duties? Well, you should have seen my last case. Remember this poor woman found dead in her bathtub? That was intense. I'm sorry, that wasn't very sensitive of me. Still, the case was huge, and got on the media too. Heard about that? Yes? No? My point is, we're in the middle of a slow season. At least I am. Like there aren't any crimes during summer. What nonsense. But first, I'd like to introduce our extremely reliable, irreplaceable secretary, Miss Podnick. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ferry. There was a phone call from the court. They wanted to talk with you.
A phone call from the court? Did they state their business?
Yes, they requested you take a case as a public defender.
A public defender? What did you tell them?
I was confused a bit and told them that you are a private attorney, but they claimed that you're on the list.
Well, I guess I am.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
Well, it was a long time ago. I tried public defense after completing my degree. You know, wanted to do something for the community, for people economically underprivileged.
But you haven't taken any case as a public defender since I started working here, have you?
That's true. I took some of these cases at the beginning of my career, and at some point I ended up here in my dad's office. So when they were calling me from the court, I turned them down once, then for the second time.
I understand.
I thought I'd sent my resignation. Well, it seems I'm still on it.
I told the court that you'd give the answer as soon as possible. Shall I make a call and tell them about your refusal?
No, tell them I accept.
I'm sorry?
I'm serious. I thought I'd have a lot of work after the red bathtub case, but I was wrong. I need to occupy myself with another case.
I understand, but maybe you'd like me to at least check what this case is about?
Yes.
Please do. I can take any case now.
Of course. I'll let the court know about your decision and ask for more details then.
Excellent. I'll be around.
So, first few things that I noticed.
I haven't done yet.
In here, there's a lot going on. Obviously, an exit. A lot of the doors do have command prompts to open them.
Hello, this is the Ferry and Sonnenberg office. I'm calling back on behalf of Mr. Mark Ferry.
Ferry and Sonnenberg.
Yes, he agreed to represent the client.
Or Ferry.
Yes,
and
I'll wait. Yes, I'm here.
So
Do you have our fax
I
number?
gotta get the ID from my office.
Of course.
First
Thank
playthrough,
you.
I opened
Have a nice
the
day.
door
Goodbye.
Just to see what was inside. This looks like a partner's office. Pretty large, nice, wood furniture.
Mr. Ferry, could you come here, please?
Oh, the secretary wants me to get out of the office. But no lawyer has this many degrees, at least that I've practiced with or against. Like 5
Mr. Ferry, could you come here, please?
Another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nobody has any of that. Maybe they're certificates, but still, that's ridiculous. Anyway.
I talked with the court. Here are the documents. Please check the nature of the case. One of the pages is the letter of acceptance. You need to sign it, and then I'll fax it.
No need to wait. Thank you, Mrs. Potnick. I'll pick it up on my way out.
Just go ahead and, send off my acceptance of the appointment. Typically, when you get appointed, that's it. You're appointed. Unless you just really can't take it and you appeal to the judge and say, listen, hey, I can't take the case. I'm super busy. It would be a disservice to a client. But your daddy's minion here, and you got all the time in the world. You're wearing jeans with some dress shoes, a button down, a tie, and a sports coat. So, you're just running the shit. Anyway, I opened all the offices when the first time I did this, and everything just kind of seems empty. It'd be interesting if there were lawyers in here you could interact with. cases or whatever, but that may come in the future. Again, this is a demo. I haven't really read what's coming in the future too. So also, when I first played through this, I felt like this was going to be my office because it's just a closet, and this is the kind of office that I had when I first started practicing law. It was just kind of just a closet, and I was put in there with a computer and billed hours and dealt with cases, assisted the partners on litigation or larger projects, etc. But this is the office in the game. You can interact with things that will allow you to, not everything. You can call people, district attorney, detention, whoever Hector is, Ted Robinson, and Detective Kyle Hagen. So it kind of doesn't limit you or show you like who you can't call, but who you can, like in the future. I guess I know these people already. Otherwise, their names wouldn't be there. But as the game progresses, maybe it would allow you to select an option rather knowing that you have that option coming up. So I have to check the received documents. I believe those are in the inventory. I have a DA pass. I don't know what a DA pass is. In the game, it allows you to enter the district attorney's office. You don't need that in real life. If you want to meet with a lawyer, typically it's agreeable. You don't need a pass, even if you're a criminal defense lawyer. Letter from the court, my ID card. So there is a bar card in every state in the United States. However, this doesn't look like a normal bar card. It has your bar ID number. I don't know why it has, your law firm name, legal practitioner, fine, and then of course, the seal of the Bar Association of the city. This is typically the state. Every city does have a bar association, but the state is the one that issues you your bar card. Also, my bar card does not have my picture on it. So, yeah, let's read the letter from the court. It's already in a file. I guess the secretary went ahead and started making the file. It has the case number and the defendant's name, Owen Williams, which you'll find out from the letter. So you can analyze the text or view the text, which is interesting. It kind of reminds me of it's that Rockstar game where you're the detective. I don't know, I forget the name. Anyway, similar concept. You can view the document. It's got the letterhead of the district court, the telephone number, fax. It's what I would see from a court too. It's the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of the city. Again, it's the state. Typically, you would have a northwest, east-south type district. Courts, if the state is large enough, depending on the size of the state, is the number of courts you would probably have. So we're in the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of the city, which is funny because you're on an appointed federal criminal defense docket. You just pick a case. Well, you don't pick a case. You get assigned to a case from being on an appointee list or an appointed list. And then you just, accept it without knowing anything about it. But here's the letter kind of telling you what's up. So the name, date of birth, ethnicity, marital status, occupation of the defendant. They're giving you quite a bit of information in a letter from the court that you would probably get from the file from the previous lawyer, or no lawyer at all. You would have to collect this on your own. But it does give you, a lot to go with here. The age, ethnicity, marital status. This sometimes can, even come into play in a criminal matter. And you'll see further what I'm talking about. Gives you the address of the defendant as well, but we also know that he's in lockup right now in the federal detention center. So, and then it gives you the code sections. You know, he's in violation of 21 U.S. Code Section 812 or 812, prohibited actions described in Section 841, 842, and 843, as well as a violation of the criminal code of the city, most likely. But you would not probably bring that in federal court. You would just keep your federal crimes. I think these are the accurate code sections for what you actually get to defend this guy for, which is, I think, distribution and possession of a controlled substance.
Okay.
So you analyze
what do we have
it.
here?
You can actually go here and click on the name.
Mr. Owen Williams,
and acquire the
25 years
information,
old,
and that just
African
kind of goes
American,
into,
married.
you know, all
He's
that.
still in the detention center because he didn't bail himself out.
So probably couldn't afford bail.
And what are you charged with, Mr. Williams?
Here we go.
Wow. Drug distribution, participation in an organized criminal group?
Organized crime.
What have I gotten
Yeah,
myself
he's got
into?
Organized crime charge.
The previous public attorney has passed away, so the court urgently needed
Previous
another
attorney
lawyer.
died. That can
They
happen,
found me.
and you know, definitely a replacement is needed, especially when someone's represented. You would probably seek an appointed attorney if you can't afford one. All right, so we got all the information. Now, we can call the detention center as well and talk to our client, which you can do. You need to schedule an appointment to meet with clients.
District Detention Center.
Detention.
Hello, this is Mark Ferry. I'm the public defender for Mr. Owen Williams. He's kept in custody awaiting the trial. I'd like to visit him.
Mr. Williams? Yes, we have him in the register. And are you his attorney?
Yes, public defender.
I have a different name here. Mr. Percy Morgan. But that's not you, right?
Yes, that was the previous attorney, but he passed away. Maybe the court hasn't passed you the information yet.
When did you get the nomination? Maybe we got a fax from the court, but we haven't updated our registers yet.
That's accurate. That
Hello?
could probably happen.
Yes?
There is a fax from the court. It seems your information is correct. We'll make the necessary changes in the documentation.
So, when can I meet my client?
Today, we're accepting guests between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Just all day.
I'll be there. Thanks. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
So the first time I played this, I kind of went the opposite way. I found out who the prosecutor was and went and visited the prosecutor before I went to talk to my client. And it's funny because you'll see what the prosecutor does. But yeah, so I still haven't.
Raylan
There you
Jackson.
go, Mr. Ray.
Ruthless and ambitious.
That's the
Won't be easy with this
DA.
guy. I should call the DA's office to schedule the meeting.
So now you get to call the DA. Again, I'll explain that. I went backwards on that. You want to meet with your client first before you go talk to opposing counsel on the case, especially if you're involved in the case. You can also get the other
District
attorney's
Attorney's
point of view too.
Hello, this is Mark Ferry. I'm calling from the Ferry and Sonnenberg office. I'd like to make an appointment with Mr. Raylan Jackson.
The purpose of your visit, sir?
I want to speak with Mr. Jackson about the case DS35789 and to receive an access to gathered evidence and other case-related information.
I just wanna
I'm representing the
all that
defendant.
stuff and
One
take a
moment,
look.
please.
Typically, evidence is exchanged in the discovery
Mr. Ferry?
process.
I'm here.
The way
Thank
that
you
they
for your
handle the
patience.
evidence
The
in this,
prosecutor will
obviously,
meet
it's
you
fair
today.
game, but
He's available
you
from
typically
10 a.m.
wouldn't
to
be
5
able to
p.m. Please come
inspect some
anytime.
things.
Oh, and please take any document which
But you
confirms your
can
identity,
if you
of course.
request it. And
Thank you very much.
be
I'll be there.
supervised
Goodbye.
during any
Goodbye.
inspection of, like, you know, taken property, firearms, things like that. Probably even a towed vehicle.
Ms. Potton,
Of course.
thanks.
Just checking out. See you later. So now it gives me the options to go different locations. It's the law firm. detention center in the DA's office. So we'll go to detention first. Just because I think the way that it happened, it just, you didn't know certain information, but you'll see. So I'm going to cut the line, go right up here and be like
Good day.
a lawyer.
Good day.
Yes,
First and last name of the
Owen Williams.
May I see your... Mr. Ferry, please wait. Ah, yes.
My bar card.
We got the notification from the court about the changes in
Actually,
Mr. Williams' legal
In
representation.
prison, at least.
We've
in the
already made
jurisdiction,
necessary
so you
changes
have to
in the
fax in
register, and you'll be able to meet your client
visitation
shortly.
document with your bar number on it and your pertinent information, including your office, etc.
Perfect. Thank you.
Please wait, sir, until we...
Right.
Just gonna wait here.
Mr. Ferry,
That's me.
please follow me.
That man over there must be Owen Williams.
Take your time, sir.
Good day, Mr. Williams. I'm Mark Ferry from Ferry and Sonnenberg. How do you do?
Hi. Well, I'm all right, I guess. Who are you?
I'm your new lawyer, Mr. Williams. Didn't you get the notice?
No, I didn't. Where's Mr. Morgan? I haven't
course you
heard
didn't
from
get
him
the
for quite a
notice.
while.
All I know is he passed away. I don't know the details, but I can ask somebody if you want.
There's no need. So are we starting over then? I've already been here for 2 months.
It's a long time.
You don't have to worry about the
how
procedures.
he's not
There'll be no
in
further
any,
delays. You have my word on that.
Jail
I have access to
attire,
all the evidence, and
kind
I'm in
of
contact with the
jumpsuit
prosecution.
or anything like that. He's just like in a flannel and a white t-shirt.
All right. I guess I'm going to trust you, Mr. Ferry.
I also like this random like giant fire extinguisher in the back. Like that's huge.
Thank you.
These file cabinets, just adding
So,
filler stuff.
what
I
do you need
guess.
from me?
Mr. Williams,
Gotta
I'd like you
learn
to
about
tell
the
me more about
client.
yourself.
All right. What would you like to...
What's your occupation?
I'm a freelance...
An independent... I see.
God, no. I didn't have a clue they were gangsters. I have...
Have you got a list
So
of your regular
essentially
clients?
what happens is that this courier gets hired to go to this drug dealer's house, take a duffel bag full of drugs, put it in his car, and he was supposed to go and take it and drop it off to another location. He's alleging that he did not know that the bag was full of drugs and that he gets odd requests to do this all the time. Typically, that is not a crime. You, as a courier, you are not liable for the contents of the package that if you are a professional courier, and that is your business and you can prove it. There's nothing, that's not a crime. People put drugs in UPS and FedEx trucks and put them in the mail all the time. And, you know, they get shipped. What about the courier that's just like, you know, picking it up from a distribution center and, you know, taking it to some drug dealer's house? But of course, this is a little bit different because he's a private courier. He went from one location where drugs could have been to another. The first house was being observed by, I guess, the vice section of the police department, because then the patrol officers actually ended up pulling over the defendant here by when he ran a red light. And that's how a lot of traffic stops lead to arrest. People are carrying things they shouldn't have. They do stupid things like not turn on their lights at night, run red lights, speed, drive while intoxicated or inebriated. So then they just like start this police confrontation because they get pulled over for something completely different. You'd think like, you know, a drug dealer carrying some serious Colombian bang bang or something is just gonna not have a street legit car and be going crazy. No, you want to look as inconspicuous as possible. But anyway, so in the midst of the police stop, they found the duffel bag, and like the vice cops, from observing, like rushed to the scene and interacted with the street officers. And what the defendant here is going to say is that the vice cop pointed his gun at him and demanded that he open the bag. during the police interaction. No rights were read, no asking, nothing. There's a lot of laws in the Bill of Rights, as well as some case law, Miranda warning, things like that, people should understand before they interact with the police officer. But that didn't happen here. Allegedly, the police officer pointed the pistol at him and said, "You need to open the bag," and he opened the bag, and there was just a brick of cocaine. And also, later in the story, you'll see is that the police officer actually tested the cocaine on site by, I don't know, whatever, not even like a lab test. I don't think it's so weird. It's like 1980s, like, we're gonna test the drugs by tasting it type thing. To be charged with possession of a controlled substance or distribution, you have certain elements in the code sections for the violation. I don't have those up. I'm not really going to go through them or bore you, but I can tell you that nowadays you typically would need something like a lab report to show that the substance in the package is in fact a controlled substance, heroin, cocaine, whatever it might be. And then the defendant has a chance to, obtain that lab report, any other discoverable admissible evidence that needs to happen, or not needs to happen, but that they should be entitled to. Also, you should be able to receive any kind of Brady evidence, which is evidence that exculpates the defendant. So any kind of evidence that they show that the police or the DEA, the feds, whatever, have gathered that would exculpate you from the crime, meaning that you're not guilty because maybe you were observed at a bar during the commission of a crime that you're being accused for. So you have a alibi. They know you were not there, and that evidence has to be shared with the defendant every time. If it's not, prosecutors can get in a lot of trouble and their cases thrown out for that. So they need to have everything, and defendant needs to make a demand too. But that's just like the short rundown, because I want to skip through a lot of just like this, like dry, like, I feel like it's robotic talking back and forth. There's no real emotion or interaction in this, and I think it can be cleaned up. Again, the concept of the game is great, but it's a demo, and if this is a reflection of what the game will be like, it's going to be tough.
Sure, my wife can provide you with that.
Your wife, you say?
Yeah, I'm married to Susan. We have a small
This is
kid,
also interesting
Greg.
information.
I love that little rascal so
He's
much.
a family man.
We live in
You
the
gotta
South Side,
be able to use
so
that and have a
the
theme
neighborhood
trial
isn't the
as a
most
lawyer.
representative, but there are many good
You
and
have
honest
to show
people living
that
there.
the state has
My
not met
parents
its
are still
burden by
alive.
meeting all the elements
They
of
run
the
a grocery
crimes you're being
store,
accused with.
and my wife's a nurse
It's
at the
also
hospital.
good to show, jury the human side of defendants as well. So you get a lot of themes like, they can just come up with some sort of phrase or word that will be in the jury's mind the whole time. Family man, like Owen is a family man, and we're going to talk about him being a family man and being a hard worker the whole trial, and kind of subconsciously put that in the jury's mind. And when they go back and deliberate, someone's going to be like, man, we can't put him in jail, he's got a kid named Greg. So
What about your parents-in-law?
What about?
Are you...
What?
Thank you, Mr.
So
what do you need from me?
here's the arrest.
I've read your testimony at the DA's office, but I'd like
And I
you to
haven't
tell me
visited
about the
DA's
events from that
office
day.
yet. This
Don't
kind of
skip any
dialogue should
details,
change do
even
one
if you
thing
decided to
versus
leave
the
them
other.
out with your previous
I
attorney.
do know what the testimony
I
is
need to know
because
everything.
I previously played this, but
We didn't skip anything.
it's just not.
Mr. Williams, I want you to tell me...
Haven't you read my?
I haven't been to the DA's office yet.
Now
I wanted to meet you
but
first.
I just told him I read
Would you
it.
mind telling me your story? Like,
Hey, are you?
Mr. Williams,
It's like I said to the police. In the morning of that day, before I went out,
wasn't this a bit odd for you?
honestly, I didn't care about that. I
And
have a
here's
family.
here's a good
I
point
need to
too.
bring
Like,
home the bacon.
yeah, you show
Collecting
up to
people
some
and some deliveries
shady
is my
house
job.
and you're just gonna do that, but like, he can probably show he's done weird jobs like that for people that weren't, you know, transporting drugs or whatever.
Was this the first time that he contacted
Even as a
you?
lawyer, I've used couriers.
Did you work
I've
for
used
him
a
earlier?
courier to go deliver things to courts, or go file things, or even transfer a hard file to someone. As a lawyer, you don't have the time to drive an hour across the city or the state to go drop off a defendant's file or something like that. So sometimes you have to pay and use for couriers.
That was the first time. The guys from.
All right.
Okay,
Yes, I do.
so.
And what happened next?
so
And then they arrested you?
So anyway, he thinks that the police, of course, were using his skin color as a pretext for his stop. They're alleging no, and that in fact he ran the red light. Um, Also in the facts that it explains here, and I believe even in the affidavit of the defendant, that the police officers drew their weapons approaching the vehicle. Can't do that. Unless, of course, you think that they're going to be a threat or a danger or, anything like that. Maybe they do have a weapon that you did see. They're waving a gun around, have a knife. I don't know. It's a normal traffic stop. It's unusual.
Not immediately. I pulled over and then a police officer, a regular one, asked me for my driver's license and the vehicle registration. I thought, damn, gonna get a ticket and that's all for my ex. But then,
Where was it?
next to me,
Did you find?
I was.
Okay.
So, what do you need from me?
Also, and it gives you the previous line of questioning on the previous lawyer, the bag of some booger sugar, and then the gang.
Let's talk about your previous attorney. What did he suggest? What kind of strategy did you undertake?
It's a good question.
Well, he told me it would be rather difficult to prove I had a serious connection with the gang unless they found key evidence.
It's
However,
true.
I could have a hard time proving I didn't know I was carrying the drugs. Do you agree with him?
No, I don't agree with the assessment. The way that I read the facts of this demo is that he's never been spotted. So think about this. The police have been scoping out the house for days, if not weeks, and have never seen this individual approach anyone in this drug organization in any way. And he suddenly appears, and now they're saying he's, a member of the gang or whatever. That's just ridiculous. You won't be able to prove that he's a member if this is the first time you've ever seen him. And as far as like carrying the drugs, it's hard in some jurisdictions. Obviously, like, it can happen. Someone can borrow a car and there be drugs in the trunk and then not know about it. Like, it can happen. People do allege that drugs found in cars are not theirs when it obviously is, because they're like cracked out on the side of the road. But insofar as like, there's some powdery substance in a trunk of my brother's car or whatever, and I was speeding, I get pulled over. They suspect me of doing that. I don't know how they would get away with a search of the trunk if I wasn't like suspected of, I guess, delivering drugs all the time or whatever, or maybe had an odor, like there was a fresh odor of marijuana that may have been, in the car. Not a burnt odor. It's a very distinctive. You can tell the difference. Um, and typically, like when you have a reasonable suspicion of something, you can really only go to those areas where you think that the crime is occurring, or to find the evidence of the crime. So if I was smoking a joint, I can probably, as a police officer, really get away with searching the interior compartment of the vehicle, and looking for a lighter or paraphernalia, any kind of drug residue, like a grinder, um, ashes in the car, things like that. Like, but if there's a smell of burnt marijuana and there's nothing else in the compartment, you're not really allowed to go and look under the hood of the car or in the trunk for what someone could have smoked a joint and tossed it out. But if it was a fresh smell, like, it's like in a bag, and it hasn't been burned yet, then it would be reasonable for a police officer to want to look in other areas of the vehicle and also get away with that without the evidence being suppressed in court. That's a whole nother discussion. Anyway, no, I don't agree with this lawyer.
No,
That's fine.
I don't. You might find me too optimistic. Everything you said is...
Mr. Morgan suggested taking a plea bargain. So, what do you
Plea
need
bargains
from
are
me?
always talked about. Again, I'm not a criminal defense lawyer or prosecutor, but plea bargains are made. Courts would want people to settle their cases without judicial intervention. The parties coming to an agreement. That's more likely so, in my opinion, in civil court than, well, I guess maybe in criminal court as well. There's a huge criminal docket. Judges are probably burned out. A lot of trials, a lot of people being arrested. But it's good to settle. So, obviously the defendant, if they feel that they will be found guilty, they could probably plead to a lesser sentence and get a better deal on some sort of punishment instead of taking the state through trial. So that can happen.
Let's talk about the...
What do you want?
Did you know the bag...
God, no.
Was the bag your possession itself?
No, it belonged to this Robin guy.
Also,
He already
the
gave it to me
bag
with the
wasn't owned by
contents
this guy
inside.
too. He wasn't seen walking into the house with it.
And you didn't want to take a peek inside? Based on your meeting with Robin and his...
Normally, I would be, but I drove me.
All right.
Well,
How come? Noted.
so, what do you need from me?
I don't really want to go through the gang
That'll
stuff,
be all
whatever,
for now.
But you get a lot of
Thank you, Mr.
information
Williams,
out of
for your
interviewing
time.
Your client.
Of course.
Now you can go talk to the DA and be like, "What do? Like, you need to dismiss this case." There's also a lot of pretrial motions and things you can do to get cases thrown out. No, we're already there. So, also when you
Hectic
complete your
as usual,
investigation in this
no
game,
matter if it's summer holiday or any other season.
There's a guard here. This is a weird lobby. I mean, I feel like it should be changed. Like the
Excuse
security
me, sir.
shack over
I
there.
have to see your pass, please.
Gotta see the pass.
I
Okay,
can't let you. Thank.
here's my bar card. I got an appointment. But I feel like this could be closed off and made more into like a security office than anything. Maybe a door here instead of a column. This is a little bit awkward. But I kind of get the feel that these people will make. Obviously, this takes place in like 1992 or 6 or whatever, so you got all these old desktop computers probably running like DOS on it. I don't know. These copiers kind of look new, in my opinion. Like, this is something I'd probably use in my office, to be honest. Fax machine, yeah, I mean, that's like, it's a fax machine and phone. I'd see that too. It's funny how I can just like walk around and look at like, attorneys' desks and stuff. Like, it would be funny if they would like bitch at you and be like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Like, I want to read this report right here." And then also you see like, the fixtures, the ambiance is kind of there, but there's not really much to do or interact with until you really get to the trial stage where I think the game begins. But you have to like collect and do your own investigation for the case. And once you feel like you've collected enough information, you can take the case to trial, which is the next phase of the demo. But typically, lawyers will not like go out and do a lot of grunt investigation work. They potentially could become witnesses to things that they probably shouldn't. So you typically want to hire like a private investigator as a lawyer to report back to you and sign an affidavit. So the personal or the private investigator could be a witness instead of yourself. Like, oh, I followed up on a claim that my client says he's innocent because his wife was having an affair with him and she was going to run off with another guy, so so she killed like the other guy's wife, and now like you know what I'm saying, like you want, as a lawyer, you could interview that person or the person of interest that could potentially exculpate your client, but if you're going to send someone to like follow someone around and like snoop and take pictures and things like that could be used in trial, you want someone else to do that, not the lawyer. Not everything is a crime movie. But anyway, all these doors are locked. These probably are going to be like DA's offices.
Come in.
But this is the, I guess, main DA.
Good day, Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Jackson.
Ah, Mr. Ferry. Welcome. I was a bit surprised that you still take case.
Ah,
Really? So now you decided to help a drug dealer and a gangster? I guess you know how it'll probably end.
Some of this
aren't you?
Dialogue is
And for
kinda
what?
weird too. Like
The difference
another
between a
lawyer,
public
including
defender's
DA,
and a
would be
private
like,
attorney's
now
salaries
you just
is beyond comparison.
defend
So my
this
question
scumbag
is,
defendants
why
now.
bother?
I mean, yeah, you're a defense lawyer. Like, whether you think they're guilty or not doesn't really matter. You're being hired for a job, and your job is to ensure that the state, meets its burden. So, and by saying like, oh, like this kind of like instigates like you get a joy out of like, representing drug dealers and gangsters. Obviously, the facts could be really interesting as a lawyer doing that, and being some like, high-level criminal attorney doing felony cases for whatever. But still, like, you could have a target on your back if this person is affiliated with a huge organization like the cartel or whatever. But you just wouldn't see this from other lawyers. It's dumb. Anyway, I'm gonna be kind of an asshole since he's an asshole.
come on. Are you cross-examining?
Good one. Point taken. Never mind. Let's proceed.
Like how his mouth didn't move during that.
Have you talked to your client yet?
I have.
Yes, I have.
So, you know his point of view on the whole situation.
So when I didn't,
Any thoughts?
it gave you an option to lie and say you did, and inspect the evidence and everything first. Versus this, where I did go speak to my client first, and now I get these options.
I'm open to the conversation, but first I'd like to examine the evidence
I just
to
get
verify
examine
my
the
thoughts.
I'm glad.
And it
The evidence room's
be
around here.
in
It's the one with
DA's
the windowed
office
wall.
typically, probably be at the police station because that's where the investigation is being conducted. The DA would probably just take you to the police station.
This is it. Drugs, pictures taken at the spot,
Drugs hanging
statements,
out in
and the
this
police
room,
report.
Because of here,
That's
all
correct.
this.
there isn't
this
really
is
a
fun,
lot of it.
this whiteboard. I don't really understand what they're saying here, content, context, but suspect, time, crime scene, interrogation, evidence, colon, who you can get to come to the table. Who can you get to come to the table?
Indeed.
I don't know.
Do you want me to briefly explain the situation?
No need.
No,
All
I already know what's going on. This is a bullshit case, and I'm gonna get it dismissed.
So that was the statement presented by my client in the presence
Yeah,
of
this
the
is the
previous attorney.
affidavit or statement given to the cops in written form. If he did sign an affidavit, I would have hoped his lawyer was there reviewing it first. So yeah, this one doesn't really let you pick it up, but this does look like a pleading. It kind of has, the party names, the state of, and the defendant's name here, and the court information here, the district court or whatever, and then it like starts like, it would be the charging instrument or whatever this would be, explaining to the court what this person's charged with. This looks more like a federal pleading than this one. This one looks like a state pleading. Federal pleadings will typically have these line numbers on them, so in federal court you have to specifically deny allegations in pleadings by line or paragraph. So it's a nice thing to have the line number there. But anyway, there's that.
Well, Well, that's the police report written by the officer who detained Williams.
You can select text
The officer admitted that Owen Williams didn't resist during the search of the car. Started to get nervous when drugs were discovered.
And the bottom one is the stop, the 2 patrol officers who stopped him. So, you can pause this and read this if you want, but essentially what I told you previously was what this stated. Except that Mr. Roberts here says that he asked the client to open the bag and he freely did it. You know, as a courier, I would be very hesitant to just like open a bag that I just picked up from a shady house that I probably shouldn't have been at, and say, no, I'm not going to let you get a warrant or something like that. Let me talk to my lawyer. Here's my card. I'll show you I'm a courier. Before, you know, this is open, I don't know what's in it, instead of, oh, I'm scared, you know, whatever. So I think I believe my client's story more, that potentially he did have a firearm pointed at him and he did open it because he was afraid for his life. And also it's in the 90s, so you know, body cams didn't exist, but nowadays body cam footage would show that, you know, the firearm was pointed at him.
That's one piece of evidence. Seems the packaged cocaine was transported in this bag. Can I learn something more about it?
Pick up the bag. Nothing real special about it, in my opinion. And here's the cocaine, just freely sitting in this DA's office. I can totally see that, you know.
This is the key evidence. This package with a significant amount of cocaine.
And look.
Somebody's opened the package.
See?
Was it Mr. Williams? It would be bad news. Maybe it was the police. Or maybe it was damage from the beginning.
Answers are in the
You should
police
find the
report.
answers in the police report.
Yeah, Kim aggressive, whatever. So I get to talk to the DA again, and take the trial within an hour. Not even, what is this? It took 40 minutes to get through
Mark
this.
Ferry, did you learn everything?
Seems so,
Obviously,
but I
it's for
saw...
a game, but whatever.
That is fully...
I don't have any...
That is...
Very good.
Let's go.
Mr. Williams is charged with
How long?
5
5 years.
better.
He didn't know...
What about...
I'll pass the off.
Do your best then.
Goodbye, man.
Goodbye.
And we just outright rejected it. So I get to go back to the now. Get ready for trial, probably. So on, like, can't, like, go back to the firm and pop a bottle. So I can call it a day and take it to trial, essentially, which I'm going to do. Forgot where. Probably go back to my. Also, I think it's funny that I'm the only guy with the nameplate on my door. Nobody else has any kind of like identification, like not even the broker's office. You know, like there's nothing here. Daddy's office or whatever. Where's the file room to? Like, okay, we can call it a day. Further investigation is unavailable in the demo episode. Are you about to advance the trial stage? Yes. City Court.
All rise. Department 2 of the Superior Court is now in session. Judge Theodore Robinson presiding. Please be seated.
It's a young judge.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Especially
The
for
court
federal
is now in session. Calling the case of the people of the state versus Mr. Owen Williams. Are both sides ready?
Ready for the people, Your Honor.
Ready for the defense, Your Honor.
Will the bailiff please swear in the jury?
Probably a U.S. attorney too.
Will the jury please stand and raise your right hand?
Would be the United States
Do each of you swear that you will fairly try the evidence before this court, and that you will return a true verdict according to the evidence and the instructions of the court? So help you God. Please say I do.
I do.
There's supposed to be
You may be seated.
phase.
We will now hear the opening statement from the prosecution.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anyway,
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're here to decide the fate of the defendant who has been charged with the crime of possessing over 2 pounds of cocaine for dealing and distribution purposes, as well as taking part in organized crime. The defendant has been caught red-handed by the police during a secret operation to crack down the gang. He met the gang members and picked up the bag with drugs and tried to deliver it to another criminal, Mr. Jack Taylor, one of the leaders of the gang. The defendant then was stopped by the police patrol for running the lights, but he was also followed by Detective Andrew Roberts for the whole time. He's the one who decided to enter the scene and arrest the suspect. The police indeed found a bag containing the drugs, which was the direct purpose of arresting on the spot. The evidence and testimonies I present will prove to you that the defendant is guilty as charged.
Thank you, counsel. Let's hear the defense's opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, under the law, my client is presumed innocent until proven guilty. You've already heard serious accusations against my client, Mr. Owen Williams. You can understand that Mr. Williams is a crook working for a criminal organization. The fact is, he's a humble taxi driver and a courier. That day, he was just doing his regular job and got a call from one of his many clients to deliver a package. Unfortunately, it turned out that his employer was a member of a gang. And what's more, the police planned that day to end the criminal activity of that group. Mr. Williams was extremely unlucky. He didn't know who he was working for, nor did he know the contents of the package. During this trial, you'll hear no real evidence against my client to prove charges of that caliber. My client is not guilty, and I'll prove it.
Prosecution may call its first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The prosecution calls Detective Andrew Roberts from TCPD, Gang and Narcotics Division.
Name and surname?
Andrew Roberts.
Please raise your hand and repeat after me. I, Andrew Roberts.
I, Andrew Roberts, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give to the court in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I've been here many times. I remember the oath by heart.
Detective Andrew Roberts, I remind you that you are at the court and there are procedures here. Please treat the officials with respect and speak when you are asked to. Is that clear?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
I guess Mr. Detective is a hothead. Or maybe he's flexible when it comes to formalities. I wonder if I can use that.
Mr. Roberts, please state your profession.
I'm a detective in TCPD, Gangs and Narcotics Division.
How are you related to the case?
I was the one who arrested Mr. Williams.
Why did you arrest the defendant?
He was transporting a bag of cocaine.
How much?
Around 2 pounds.
What's the street value of that amount?
Over $185,000.
Could the defendant operate that much drugs on his own or on behalf of a criminal organization?
All right, time to step in and spoil the party.
Okay, so it gives you the opportunity to object during an examination, just like on any direct or cross of your opposing counsel. You can object to certain things, hearsay, of course, and any other evidentiary issues when typically there's going to be testimony given. Ahead of time, you will know what the statement of the police officers are, because typically affidavits are submitted to the court or depositions have been taken. And since affidavits would be submitted or depositions taken, the defense would have access to the testimony, and then obviously, highlight any testimony that would, again, exculpate the client, show that the detective did the wrong thing, or impeach the witness, especially if they like completely change their testimony at trial. Obviously, they can always say, "Well, I was wrong. I was misunderstood. It was in the heat of the thing, or whatever." Like, there's just a lot of different things. But anyway, shows you how to use the objection tool in this, which is, it will tell you if you have a sustained or overruled objection. Overruling will hurt your case, and sustaining will be good for your case. So typically you want evidence discarded. Evidence accepted would be bad, especially when it comes to potential evidence that really just looks really bad to the jury or judge. So we're getting new objective.
Objection, Your Honor. The question not only calls for speculation, but is also leading.
Sustained. Please stick with the rules of evidence, counsel.
And it kind of forces you to do this objection here. Like, there's no just objection button hanging out during anything that the prosecutor is asking about or during the testimony of the witness. So speculation would be accurate, and then also on a direct of your own witness, you can't lead the witness, meaning you can't lead in saying, isn't it true that you found a pistol in the house that you raided? You're already giving the detective the answer that you're looking for, which is the pistol was in the house. So you can't really do that. You can ask, what did you find in the house when you entered, or something like that. Or you would lead it up like, did you go into the house? Yes. When you entered the house, what did you find? Well, I found a pistol, drugs, XYZ. Was there anything else? No. Are you sure? Yes. Okay.
How did you know he was transporting the drugs?
Objection! This has nothing to do with
That's
the
not
case.
True.
Actually, it has a lot.
Overruled. Please continue.
To be honest, I wasn't
That's a
sure.
loaded question. Exactly.
Please explain.
He didn't know.
Mr. Williams
I
happened
do
to
get it.
appear in the
Oh,
area
yeah,
under
it does give me a
surveillance.
timeline for
You
that.
see, we were in the middle of an operation to crack down a drug gang called Southside Snakes.
That's fine.
We were observing two houses belonging to the two key figures, Robin Smith and Jack Taylor. The two houses are located in two different parts of the city, so there were two surveilling teams observing suspects at the same time.
And the defendant?
He can ask about the defendant.
He approached Robin Smith's house, located in Southside. It was morning. Mr. Williams came there by car. He entered the building and left it after a few minutes. He was holding a bag. He got into a car
It's all factual
and drove
to
away.
them. Sitting outside.
Who did he talk inside the house to?
That's bullshit.
Objection, Your Honor. The prosecution calls for speculation.
Sustained, unless the prosecution proves the witness had access to some sort of surveillance. Is that the case?
No, Your Honor.
Please move on then.
He's not allowed to ask
What
about
happened next?
what speculating on a conversation in a house.
I
You
was
can ask
asked
what
by
happened.
Commanding Officer, Commissioner Francis Wright, to follow the man because he was probably going to another suspect, Mr. Taylor. In the meantime, the first squad in Southside decided to enter to neutralize suspects.
You arrested the defendant before he reached the destination. Why?
That's a fair question.
He ran the traffic lights, and the local patrol stopped him. I was worried that they would scare him away, so I decided to step in.
A patrol? How big was it?
2 police officers.
Did you arrest the defendant on the spot?
I want that.
No, I asked him to open the bag first, the one he took from Smith's.
On cross, you would ask him about
What was the
pistol.
defendant's behavior?
That's fair.
Oh, he was agitated, like he knew what was coming up.
That's a fucking lie.
I got this.
Every defendant would sit there and bitch to their attorney, probably. During direct, you can object not only to the prosecution's question, but also given testimony. It's time to react to Robert's words. Use the objection command for the proper part of the speech. Okay.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is speculating.
Sustained. The court will remove the part which suggests the reason why the defendant was acting as described. Please continue,
yeah, he
counsel.
can say that he was acting agitated, but he can't speculate as to why he was doing it. Unless, like, the defendant was recorded in some way saying, I'm really agitated because I'm cracked out.
That's a big lie. I wasn't agitated. I remained calm until I saw the cocaine inside the bag.
My client.
We'll get there.
Detective Roberts, where was the bag?
It's factual. It's fine.
In the front passenger seat, but one of the officers claimed the defendant wanted to hide.
Objection! Hearsay!
What hearsay? It's in the officer's written testimony.
There's probably got to be
Mr. Roberts, you can only speak for yourself. The objection is sustained. Please continue, Mr. Jackson.
I mean, I would fight over
What was
that.
inside the bag?
Cocaine.
Okay.
Thank you,
I should
Your
have
Honor.
objected to that. Maybe
I have no
having
further
known.
questions. I would like to submit pieces of evidence from number 1 to number 5, the duffel bag of cocaine, the pictures taken on the spot after arresting the defendant, and the complete list of other police officers' statements from the patrol which were witnesses of the
You
arrest.
would probably do this.
The list
in
covers
pre-trial.
statements of 2 police officers who were at
What
the time of
evidence can and
arrest
can't come
and
in,
4 other
submission of
detectives
it,
who claimed they saw the
review of
defendants
motion
entering
made,
Robin Smith's
trying to
house
exclude
and then
evidence,
leaving with the
and,
presented
you'd
evidence.
give your exhibit list
Thank you,
ahead of
counsel.
time to put
Would the
in
defense object to any pieces of evidence?
Yeah, I want to.
No, Your Honor.
That's bullshit. During the full version of the game, you have the opportunity to question the presented evidence if you can prove it's worthless.
Does the defense wish to ask any questions to the witness?
No, Your Honor.
Bullshit. I do. So, thank you so much for playing the demo. We're looking forward to your feedback and reading this. We're working on improving the game. Yeah, so I did give feedback. I let them know that, there's some translation issues with the text. So, there's little things here and there. The trial stuff could be fun. It's a good way to learn trial procedure. Kind of interesting to hear story or testimony and think about questions when people are being asked on direct or cross and, work on objections and things like that. Like I found it entertaining, and I'm a lawyer. Again, the base game is there. They have a good idea. And really, a judge and jury's decision is really subjective. You never know what they're going to do. On a judge, you know more so how they will rule, because they are severely bound by the law, and obviously they have legal minds and know if the state isn't meeting its burden or not. But a jury can do anything. Even if the prosecution had ironclad evidence that this guy was out there just, selling drugs or transporting drugs, he knew about it, and he had like pictures, video statements, whatever, like, doing drugs with the gang members. A jury could rule, find the guy not guilty for the crime. So even in the civil world, I've seen juries do weird things. So it can never be, a slam dunk case. You never want to tell a client it's a slam dunk case. So it would be really hard to put, a subjective aspect of a jury into this game. So they have to make it gamey, where you have these mini games where you do objections during the prosecution's case, and then you would probably maybe select, statements in your case or questions that you would ask a witness. Maybe you get a witness list to bring up, and things like that. Obviously, if you get evidence in, it would be beneficial to your case, or if, you got evidence excluded from the prosecution, it would be beneficial to your case, and therefore the jury would be more likely to rule for it. But there should always be like a 49-51 percentage that it could go either way, in my opinion. That's more realistic, but you want to win the game. There's no real like, hey, you're moving up in a law firm, you're a junior associate, then you're a senior associate, or you're a partner running a team of lawyers. That'd be interesting to do too. Law firm management and economics is really interesting. But overall, again, it's fun, and I really hope everybody enjoyed watching this video and checking this out. All right, see you soon.